Welcome to Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation, news, and commentary. I'm Drew's co-host, entertainer writer Jim Hill, and he and I are recording this week's show on Saturday, June 18th, 2022. Want to stress right from the get-go, folks, that this will be a shorter show than Drew and I usually do, and that's largely because Mr. Taylor is still recovering from COVID. In fact, I want to thank Drew for making a heroic effort today. Just showing up is you get points, Drew.
Okay, good.
But again, at the same time, given the news, and it's been a huge animation news week. I mean, just the fact that the Annecy Animation Festival just wrapped up in France earlier today, right? It started on Monday this week.
Yes.
Lots of news to share. So speaking of the news, though, the news portion of Fine Tuning is brought to you by Storybook Destinations, trusted travel partner of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. For a worry-free travel experience, please book online at storybookdestinations.com. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, Drew and I are recording this week's show on Saturday, June 18th, which is the day after Pixar's latest, Angus MacLane's Lightyear, arrived in theaters. And I know you're not necessarily a fan of what Rotten Tomatoes does, the freshest rating, the aggregation of the critics, what the critics are saying, and also the audience score. But I wanted, before we get started here, to just sort of lay some numbers out here, that right now, Lightyear over at Rotten Tomatoes has a 77% freshness rating, which is a considerable step down from the 94% freshness rating that Pixar's previous release, Turning Red, got. Which, by the way, let's remember, that wasn't released theatrically. That debuted on Disney Plus back on February 21st of this year. Also, Luca, the Pixar film that came out before Turning Red, which again also debuted on Disney Plus 1 year ago today, Drew.
Did you see they put all the special features on the Disney Plus version?
Did they really?
So if you never bought the home video version and you didn't see the special features or listen to Enrico's commentary track, you can do that now on Disney Plus.
Well, now I know what I'm doing with my Saturday night. Okay, that also got a higher freshness rating than Lightyear. Luca was 91%. It'll go a little further back than that. Pixar's Soul, which also debuted on Disney Plus December 25th, 2020. That also had a higher freshness rating than Lightyear. That's 95% versus 77%. Only Pixar's Onward, which got an extremely abbreviated theatrical run back in March of 2020, before the pandemic basically shut down theatrical distribution worldwide, that got a freshness rating that was kind of in the same neighborhood as Lightyear, 88% versus 77%. On the other hand, if we compare the audience scores over at Rotten Tomatoes, that's where it gets a little interesting. Onward comes out on top at 95%, 88% for Soul, 87% for Lightyear, Luca is 85%, and then 72% for Turning Red. So in this case, Lightyear's in the middle of the pack, though Turning Red's audience score is artificially lower because of the whole troll factor. But Drew is the guy who wrote the art of book for Pixar's Onward. You got to be thrilled to see that Dan Scanlon film get as high an audience score as it did.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, basically what people remember from Onward is the book. So, I think that's really the thing that everybody sort of took away from that one.
All right, but to be fair here, I want to mention that when I was at Dayton, Disneyland last weekend, I actually encountered a family that was cosplaying as the Lightfoots.
Oh, that's so great.
Melissa came dressed as Ian, her boyfriend was dressed as Barley, and Melissa's mom actually came as Ian and Barley's mom, Laurel Lightfoot. And by the way, great outfits. They actually took home the prizes for best family costumes at Dayton Disney's annual costume contest. But back to Lightyear now. I bring up this Angus MacLane movie's freshest rating and audience score because so we have the preliminary ticket sale. Now, these are projected ticket sales or actual or estimated?
I don't know if they're projected. I was going to try to see if there was some updated numbers or anything.
Okay.
But it looks like it's a pretty wild weekend. I mean, there's a holiday on Monday for a lot of people, and there is not some concrete numbers, but preliminarily, it looks like it is coming in under projections.
Yeah, and what trades were saying and what industry insiders were saying that Lightyear was supposed to open in North America with ticket sales somewhere between $70 and $85 million. But again, based on these numbers that are coming in at this point, and again, this is estimated box office for Friday and Saturday, they're now talking about Pixar's latest during its opening weekend in North America only doing 51 to 55 million in ticket sales. That's a third below. That's significant, Drew. What do you think's going on here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been baffled by this whole thing because I went to the premiere of Lightyear last week, right before I fell ill, and I thought it was wonderful. I absolutely adored the movie. I thought the craft that went into it is pretty unparalleled. I'm obviously very emotionally engaged with Socks the cat and trying to talk myself out of buying the life-size $400 version on super7.com.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, I thought the movie totally worked. I thought everything that Angus was going for, he accomplished, both in terms of exploring Buzz's backstory and creating this Pixar movie that has kind of a, you know, it has the feel and look of a kind of 1970s or early 1980s sci-fi adventure. So I was first baffled by the critical response, and now I am extremely baffled by the box office because it feels like such a home run, and it is such a great theatrical experience, especially if you see it in IMAX, which I have not gotten to do yet. The premiere was at the El Cap. So I'm going to try to see it in IMAX sometime this week because it's the first, I think, and only Pixar movie to be formatted specifically for IMAX. It takes up the entire screen. So I am really looking forward to that. So yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, there's a few theories floating around that you and I talked about beforehand.
Yeah.
You know, the Disney Plus effect is something that I think we need to discuss. Could this be a Encanto situation where it does okay box office and then becomes a sensation when it's on the platform? Are people trained to want Pixar movies on Disney Plus?
It's also worth noting that there were 9 years between the release of Toy Story 4, which again came out in June of 2019, and the release of Toy Story 3, which was back in June of 2010. And more to the point that there were slightly more than 10 years between the release of Toy Story 2, which was November of 99, and the release of Toy Story 3, which was back in June of 2010. So some folks are positing that given that it's only been 3 years since Toy Story 4 came out, that maybe this is Disney and Pixar returning to the franchise early, though I would argue that this isn't a sequel or a prequel to Toy Story. This is an origin story for Buzz Lightyear, right? So it's
an entirely separate thing. I mean, maybe that was the other problem, is that people made such an insane deal about not understanding the concept when it's so easy to figure out. It's a loosely connected Pixar sci-fi adventure that is awesome. I mean, that's really all it is. So I agree with you, Jim. I don't think the year, the dates are any different, because I mean, people are always coming to this franchise new, and there's always so much content. I mean, there were the Forky shorts, and there's always so much stuff going on. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that was really the problem.
I did hear one other thing that I guess the folks at Universal who remember have their own sequel coming out in just 2 weeks' time, Minions: The Rise of Gru. They're a little concerned and are, to the effect of, okay, is this COVID? Is this parents not wanting to take their kids back to theaters? I mean, isn't it just this week we finally got the vaccines? But that's for kids under 6, right? I mean, this shouldn't have impacted this at all.
The other thing is that the Minions have a much shorter bar to clear financially, too, right? Like, I mean, that's something that Illumination always prides itself on, is that these movies don't cost very much, and so they don't really have to make that much either, even though the Minions franchise is insane, because we have to remember that the Minions is a spinoff too. Like that, and they they made $1 billion on the first one. So I mean, who knows what the Minions is going to do?
Speaking of which, can you talk about what you'll be doing next? Again, of course, once you complete your recovery.
Yes, I should be clear in the next couple of days. I will be going to Minionwood Next Saturday, there will be a big premiere in Hollywood. Jim, you got to love a premiere that starts at 1 p.m. on a Saturday, and the pre-party starts at 10. I'm sure they'll, right?
That tells you exactly the audience this
Yes.
is aimed at. So enjoy your juice box, Drew.
Yes, I will. Hey, I will. I'm sure I'll have some, some flavored waffles or something. But
boy.
yeah, they're kind of taking over Hollywood. There's going to be a really cool like record pop-up shop where all the records are of artists that are in the movie, and they're all, Jim, you'll love this. They're all their 1970s prices. So all LPs are just $5.
Oh, no.
And they're doing things, I'm sure they'll be doing things at the park, obviously, and then the big world premiere at several theaters in Hollywood. I think I'll be at the TCL Chinese. So,
And this is next Saturday?
This is next Saturday. They're taking over the town, Jim.
I want a full report about Minionwood afterwards.
Yes.
Oh, that vinyl shop sounds so cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, top of the show, we mentioned, of course, that Annecy ended today. And we had Disney do a panel of size there where they talked about Strange World, which, again, arriving at theaters this November. We got more members of the vocal cast.
First openly gay lead character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, well, okay, we can pretty anticipate what Ron DeSantis isn't going to go see this holiday season. But what else did you take away from Annecy this year?
Well, I appreciate, they had a big push for Pinocchio and Wendell and Wild, so that obviously made me very jealous. Apparently, the Gendy Tartakovsky show is great, and there was that big announcement that he has kind of decamped from Sony and will be making a permanent home at Warner Discovery and their kind of collection of networks, including tantalizingly that he will have access to Warner Brothers IP, which I thought was very interesting.
I agree.
Will we see Gendy's Batman, as some have suggested? I think that would be pretty good. And, the other thing is that I watched The Sea Beast, which premiered at Annecy.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really, really wonderful. I just loved it. I thought it was great. I have no notes. I think it's a really fun throwback to kind of old school adventure films. The animation by Sony Pictures Imageworks is amazing. And it's just like... It's a Chris Williams movie through and through, and it's just beautiful and really, really great. And that's on Netflix in July. So.
I am so happy to hear that, though I do have one question. In fact, we talked about this on the last show briefly. Buried down in the press releases for Sea Beast, they mentioned that this Chris Williams films will get a limited theatrical release. Have you heard anything about that? Where that's going to be? Or
I haven't heard about it. I mean, that is something that I am looking into independently. Sort of like what is the Netflix approach to theatrical going to be? Because that seems to be a renewed push. But yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, if I would love to see it on a big screen. The amount of amazing people that worked on the movie, from Zach Parrish, who directed, what was that great short last year that Disney put out about the older couple getting younger?
Oh, the dance one. That was amazing.
You Again.
You Again. Yeah. Okay.
So he's the animation supervisor on this thing. Tony Fucilli did the character designs. I mean, it is a murderer's row of talent. So to see it on the big screen would be really, really great. The only thing is you can't watch it again right afterwards if you watch it on the big screen. But it will be on Netflix soon enough. This
is true. And speaking of Annecy, of course, again, and you mentioned Netflix, they were also there hyping some of their series as well. And in fact, they just dropped a trailer for season 2 of Inside Job, which is Alex Hersajation, right? He's a producer.
He executive produced it. I think he co-wrote a few episodes as well.
Okay, which again is about the secret organization that really runs the world. And to give Mr. Hirsch credit, just this past week on Twitter, he gave animation fans a pop the hood, so to speak. He showed how, when you're making an animated series at a giant corporation like Disney, you have to deal with the folks at Standards and Practices who go over your scripts, who go over everything associated with the production, and then hand you notes. And he put up, it was like 3 minutes of excerpts from emails on YouTube, right?
I think it was long. I think it was longer than 4 minutes. I mean, there. I mean, it's so worth watching because it's so funny.
Oh, well, no, that's it exactly. Just the note about the hoo-ha, and it's
Right.
and it's like, you're going to have to cut this, that's a, a code name for female genitalia. And it's like, no, this is Grunkle Stan, I just, and the ridiculous back and forth. And you just got a sense of the fact that Alex was able to turn out a top quality show like Gravity Falls, which, by the way, just this past week, 10th anniversary, right?
10th anniversary. Yeah, I think that's why he put the thing out. But yeah, it is so funny. It's really, really good. He also posted it on Twitter. And Eric Bauza, who voices Bugs in the new Warner Brothers shorts, actually is the voice of the Standards and Practices email. So
Oh, no.
a lot of great animation stuff in that.
Speaking of Bugs, what did you make about the news about the Bugs Bunny feature that's coming?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I hope it's wonderful and not a kind of soulless cash grab. Did you see that one of the musical numbers is going to be from Little Shop of Horrors?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. I'm very excited for it.
Well, but it was kind of the 1-2 punch of, we got the cover of the script for Joker 2, which, by the way, is also supposed to be a musical. It's just sort of like, all right, correct me again. It's not Warner Brothers Discovery. It's Discovery Warner Brothers. Is that the
No, I think it is Warner. I think it's Warner Brothers Discovery.
Okay, so you kind
It's actually, if you go see Elvis next week, you will see it on the Shield for the first time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was blown away they had changed it already. But
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Cool. But again, it's just, you got to wonder what's in the water coolers over at Warner's with 2 musical, and again, a musical with Bugs Bunny and a musical with the Joker.
Yes,
with also with Lady Gaga involved as Harley Quinn. It's like, okay, may you live in interesting times. And speaking of projects that are celebrating their anniversaries, this is the 25th anniversary of the release of Disney's Hercules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
97.
Okay. And when we get back from this break, Drew and I are going to talk about 2 new Hercules related projects that are coming, well, respectively from Disney Theatrical and Disney Live Action.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
Look, Drew, last year, well, no, actually, this, again, we keep making this, sorry, folks, this is a COVID-related mistake. Time has no meaning during a pandemic, so we're talking about the live stage production of Hercules that was done in Central Park as part of the Shakespeare in the Park thing, right? At the Delacorte. And,
Yes.
and we were talking about how it was done last year, and it's like, no, this was August 31st through September 8th, 2019. So
It's insane.
all right, we're a little off on our dates here, but incredibly well-received show. And Jelena Adelin, who actually played in Disney's Frozen on Broadway, I want to say he was Christoph. Likewise, Krista Rodriguez, who played Wednesday in the Addams Family musical, was Meg. Roger Bart, the singing voice of Hercules from the original animated feature, played Hades, and then James Monroe Englehart, who played Aladdin on Broadway, played Phil. And very, very short performance. Again, just a week of shows, but it was kind of a test drive. And now we just learned that Hercules is coming back. They're going to do a production of it at the Papermill Playhouse in New Jersey as part of that theater's, regional theater's 2022-2023 season. It's going to run at the Papermill between February 9th and March 12th of 2023. And Drew, the Papermill is significant that Disney opted to start Hercules, the next production of it there, because back in 2011, this is where they test drove Newsies, the stage version of Newsies, which did so well that they transferred that production, which debuted in September of 2011, to Broadway. It went to the Nederlander Theater in March of 2012 and was only supposed to run till June, but ultimately ended up running through August of 2014 and now is a favorite of high schools and colleges around the country. They're staging productions. In fact, that's supposedly...
I was at the previews for that one, Jim, and I thought it was great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that, too, that before it was even on Broadway, it was actually designed as a traveling show.
I'm so glad you bring that up because, I remember the whole notion of that set that would roll forward and back. That's the idea. It was never going to go to Broadway. It was going to tour. But the reviews and the reaction was so strong at the Papermill. It's like, well, we got to bring it to Broadway. And I remember talking with Dennis Rice, I want to say, who was the head of publicity for all of the shows on Broadway. And I remember Nancy and I were in the lobby of the Nederlander. It was the night the show had opened. They were kind enough to invite us to it. And they were doing some press in the theater afterwards while the party was going on across the way. And Dennis was like, damn it. Now this show is going to run. All right. And now I have to do publicity for it. And it was just, the whole notion of, this is a guy whose dance card was already ridiculously full with, I think Beast was still running at that point and, Lion King and the like. And it was like, this wasn't supposed to come to Broadway. This is supposed to go on tour. But anyway, what particularly complicates the situation is that here is, Hercules the musical, no news on a cast yet, by the way, folks. But again, doing a production at the Nederlander February or March of next year, and smart money already is given the reviews for the production of the Delacorte in Central Park back in 2019, that there's going to be life for the show after this. But did you see the announcement of the Hercules live-action movie that Disney's...
I did.
Yeah.
I did see that. I think that it's a very safe choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Guy Ritchie, who made Aladdin into somehow a $1 billion live-action hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very curious about it.
But the other thing that particularly caught my eye was that the production company, let's say Agbo. Did you see who's behind Agbo?
Oh, yes. I'm very aware of Agbo. Yes, it's the great... the Russo brothers are behind Agbo, and they produced Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, if you haven't seen yet, Jim, is wonderful.
Hot dog fingers.
Hot dog fingers.
There we go. All right.
I've never felt more seen in the movie before. But they're really doing a lot of exciting, fun stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's cool that they're behind it. I thought they were going to install maybe somebody like Sam Hargrave, who's their longtime first unit director, who did Extraction with Chris Hemsworth on Netflix, which if you haven't seen is also really great. Mm-hmm. But I think Ritchie has the chops to do it for sure.
Oh, no doubt. And certainly what's kind of interesting if you think about what the Russo brothers did with superheroes and the various physiques and that sort of thing. This is Hercules, the musical, live action musical is definitely in their wheelhouse. But it's worth noting that, again, we were just talking about the 25th anniversary of the release of the animated version of Hercules. But there's this weird parallel between what just went on with Lightyear. In that, when Hercules was released to theaters, and remember, Disney did it up big. I mean, they brought the Main Street Electrical Parade to New York and ran it through the streets with a brand new Hercules parade. Do you know where they held the party after the parade?
Yes. Oh yeah. I did a whole story on this for I think Disney Insider.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the Tower of the World.
Well,
actually, Jim, there were two parties, so we have to specify.
Oh, that's right. That's
which.
right. There was
Yes.
one down at the pier. But then if you were among the celebrities, you know, the voice talent and the filmmakers and that sort of thing, they were at the top of the world at the Twin Towers.
Yeah. Windows to the World?
Windows of the World. My mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you had Aladdin come out in 1992 and make 250 million domestic, which was a significant step up from Beauty and the Beast, which had done really, really well. And then 18 months later, The Lion King opens in June of 1994 and makes a ridiculous amount of money. And so Disney then doubles down. There was a deliberate decision made to shift their animated features, which traditionally come out the Thanksgiving weekend, into the summer slot. And so the year after that was Pocahontas, wasn't it?
Yeah, 95 was Pocahontas.
Okay, 95 was Pocahontas. 96 was Hunchback. And then in 97 came Hercules. But a curious thing happened starting with Pocahontas. Pocahontas did not make as much money as The Lion King. And the interesting thing is if you line up the box office performance for the next couple of Disney films, it's like a set of stairs. It's like Pocahontas didn't make as much as Lion King, but then Hunchback definitely didn't make as much money as Pocahontas. And then Hercules struggled to get to 100 million domestic. And that genuinely rattled folks at the studio because if you think about the promotional effort that they put in,
Yeah, they weren't spending any less money on
No.
these movies.
If anything, they were more expensive, and the Bancroft brothers worked on Mulan. Mulan was coming out the summer of 98, and they were already talking about the promotional campaign for Mulan. And the notion was like, we're going to do the exact same thing with Mulan that we did with Hercules. We are going to take the Main Street Electrical Parade. We are going to create a giant Mushu unit. And then we're going to hold our premiere in San Francisco.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That did not happen.
That did not happen. By the time Mulan came out, all super elaborate promotional things at Disney had fallen by the wayside. In fact, they held the premiere at the Hollywood Bowl. And it was like, I recall, I forget if it was Tony or Tom who was complaining about the gift that literally came in a Chinese food box. It's like teeny tiny little container. Here's your wonderful. Thanks for making your movie. Get out.
Well, that's interesting. You bring up Electrical Parade because also yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the parade at Disneyland. So this is like very fortuitous, Jim, that we're talking about the Hercules premiere and that whole rigmarole.
Okay, well,
is that the only time it was outside the parks besides that Super Bowl halftime show?
I think you are correct.
Okay.
I do know that for the premiere of Pete's Dragon in New York, they did bring the Pete's Dragon float up from Florida, and it did roll.
I didn't realize that was a replacement float, although I saw some footage online of the original dragon, which was kind of a Asian. It was almost like Mushu, actually.
It was. And in fact, it's so interesting you bring up the original version of the Main Street Electrical Parade, because this was actually one of the things I did a panel at Dayton, Indiana about this, and I just want to share one story. You've probably heard the same story about Robert Yanni, the gentleman who, again, created the Main Street Electrical Parade for Disneyland. And that very first public performance where they had hired every electrician in Orange County, California, and they were working 24 hours to get this thing ready to go out the door because the folks in Chicago hadn't been able to complete the floats. But Yanni described this moment where it's the premiere of the Main Street Electrical Parade, and the electricians are working on the floats right up until they roll out out into town square. And what Yanni described is that, just before they throw on the lights, all of the electricians would leap off of the float before it would then roll out into Main Street. And he said, all they could think of is when they would jump off it. It looked like rats jumping off of a sinking ship. Again, just the effect of that this thing was going to be such a disaster. And they had the Baroque Hoedown as the theme song of the parade. And he was consulting with the audio guy and said, well, how loud do you want me to make the music? And said, turn it up to 11. That way we can't hear people say how much it sucks.
Wow. I didn't realize that it was so old that it was before colored Christmas lights had even been invented, that they had to hand dip.
It was the company in Chicago specialized in miniature. Again, remember, the inspiration for the Main Street Electrical Parade was actually the water pageant at Walt Disney World.
And also they had found some arcane reference to...
They had. This was...
Right.
In fact, The Gilded Age on HBO, I want to say it's like the 5th or 6th episode, ends with this moment where you see the elites of New York and the public gather around one of the very first buildings to be lit up. You get that reaction of, oh my God, electric lights, look at these amazing things. But yeah, what Drew's referring to is that I want to say it's Ron Mizransky, I think, found the reference in some book about back in the early days of electricity. They used to effectively put lights on, or bars of lights on really long extension cords and then parade them up and down the street.
Yeah, it must have been that, right? I mean, there was no grid to do it on. Yeah.
But using full-size Christmas lights as somebody is walking down, Main Street, USA, it's like, no, this isn't going to work. But they found this company in Chicago that made teeny tiny hand-dipped colored Christmas lights. And it's like, okay, let's go with those. But that's where they got tripped up. The company couldn't finish anything in time, and they had to hire 17 Mayflower vans and throw the partially assembled floats and all the lights in, drove them out to Anaheim, and then were frantically finishing the show right up to the opening. But
can you imagine the Disney company working 24 hours on anything anymore? As we watch Tron slowly assembled in Florida that has already been built somewhere else. But yeah.
By the way, just as we close out here, and of course, San Diego Comic-Con, which is going to be a month from now, I just started talking about panels. And did you see that they're going to have a celebration of the 40th anniversary of Tron?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, just today came across that. And the story that you shared about the third Tron film, and how close they came.
Oh, yeah.
I find it hard to believe that much work was done. Also, when you tie that to the notion that, here's Joseph Kosinski having directed the biggest film of the summer, Top Gun Maverick, which, as part of the press for this, that he once again talked about, how close we got to a Tron Legacy sequel. It's like, and we have Disney Plus with its unending appetite for content. I just find it hard to believe 40th anniversary, they're making a big deal of it. They're holding a celebration at Comic-Con. Drew, there's a shoe about to drop. I just feel like it.
I mean, why is it a party and not it's D23? Oh, that explains a lot. So it's just a fun thing to do? Is that all it is? I don't get it. It's crazy. So it's not an actual panel. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's kind of a bummer, Jim. You had me all revved up for nothing. But.
No, wait a minute. It's D23 hosting a Tron anniversary party at San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, boy, you and I are going to get invited to D23.
Well, I mean, if it's half as good as their Galactic Mixer or whatever, I'm sure. Which okay. I did not see one thing about. But yeah, that's funny.
Okay, well, all right.
Maybe we'll have to do our own panel, Jim. There we go.
Yeah. But again, I'm hopeful. Anyway, we were just mentioned Top Gun Maverick, which continues to dominate at the box office.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
God, Jim.
I was in Ohio.
They have theaters in Ohio.
Well, this is true. Okay, I have no excuse. I was too busy searching for Tim Hortons. I broke my coffee mug. Anyway, $800 million worldwide. Biggest film of Tom Cruise's career. And given that Drew constantly shares stories about Mr. Cruise's other film franchise, the Mission Impossible films, over at Light the Fuse, I cannot stress enough that if you're not over there listening to the shows that Drew and his equally talented co-host Charles Hood, you're just missing out. It's a great podcast that also touches on the John Wick films. We've been sick. What have you been doing with the show?
Oh, well, we still have great new episodes coming up, Jim. We're finishing up our Eddie Hamilton series this week. Mm-hmm. And then we talked to actually Kevin LaRosa Jr., who came up with the aerial photography rig that made Top Gun Maverick possible. And then we've got a couple of more shows after that, some Top Gun related shows with another very special guest. So still very much in Light the Fuselage mode, but
and deservedly so. I mean, in fact, how much do you think Top Gun Maverick and continued strength at the box office factors into what's going on with Lightyear this past? I mean, let's
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's another. It just keeps sticking around, and it looks like it's going to clear $1 billion. So it's just amazing. Yeah. It's an amazing movie, Jim. I look forward to you seeing it eventually.
Nancy saw it in IMAX and just blithered. I mean, it just sort of like, oh my God, this was amazing, and everything. Just
she went without you, Jim.
Well, I'm a supportive husband. I had things to do that afternoon, and she was going out with her friends. She and her ladies, her water aerobic ladies, they do movie days and nights, and they travel as a group. And even when I attend the classes, I have to stay away from them in the deep end. But no, they went and they had a great time.
That's awesome. Yeah, you gotta see it. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, and also, folks, I know we talk about this every show, and in fact, it says a lot about Drew, where you were on your deathbed basically, but you were still able to be on Twitter and Instagram. I was very impressed.
It was tough. It was tough because I ruined my wedding anniversary, which that was fun. So still
Katie.
trying to be still trying to celebrate and support in that way. And anyway,
all right.
Yes, but you can find me at Drew Tailored, like a tailored shirt, on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and over on Facebook as Jim Hill Media News. Beyond that, got a couple other podcasts here we'd love you to take a look at, folks. We got Disney Dish with Len Testa. We got Marvel Us Disney, which I do with Aaron Adams. And we also have Looking at Lucasfilm. In fact, a brand new episode just went up today, June 18th. And let's see. Beyond that, if you folks could do Drew and I a favor, if you could head over to Apple Podcasts, and we'll not just review the show you're listening to right now, Fine Tuning, but also... again, Drew's terrific Mission Impossible podcast, Light the Fuse, likewise, Light the Fuselage. And if you really, really like what you heard here, if you want to go to Bandcamp and subscribe, that would be helpful. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Now, Drew's going to go lie down and get healthy, but we will be back with a brand new show next week. So till then, thanks for listening.